think especially for women, we get in our own way. I don't know why that is, but we do. We second guess ourselves more. We have more self-doubt. We sometimes don't hold ourselves as being as worthy as we are. I think that women should be fierce. They should be independent. They should be strong. Strength means a lot of different things. Being who you are and leading with your strengths, right? Whatever they are.
Buckle up for a new episode of the S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, S.H.E, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. I'm your host, S.H.E, and I'm excited to be diving in with my guest today. She is in Florida, and that's exciting for me because I was born and raised here, and I don't get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs in Florida. I'm starting to meet more. So whenever I have a guest on one of my shows that's from Florida, I just get super, super excited because it's a rarity. So without further ado, I want to welcome Dr. Debbit Qaqish to the podcast. So welcome, Debbie, to the show.
It is great to be here. Thank you for having me, Heidi.
Absolutely. And I know this is going to be a fun conversation. We've chatted before today. I love your energy. So for those of you listening, you are in for a real treat. And Debbie, before we get started, I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of background about you, and then we will dive in.
Okay.
So Dr. Debbit Qaqish created the revenue marketing movement in 2011, years before the industry caught up, transforming marketing from a cost center into a measurable revenue driver. She is the author of Rise of the Revenue Marketer and From Backroom to Boardroom, and has spent more than 35 years helping B2B marketing organizations drive growth. Today, she's the founder and CEO of The Growth Factor and focuses on the next shift most leaders are missing: performance under pressure. So, Debbie, you launching your revenue marketing movement and creating that back in 2011, I'd love to learn a little bit about your journey. Is this something that you started because of a challenge that you've gone through yourself, or did you just have like this passion and knowing inside of you, like, this is my purpose?
That is a great question, Heidi. Let me answer that two ways. The next company we'll talk about, that is the passion and the purpose. But this company did come from a need. I had spent many years in sales. So I've run sales, I've carried a sales bag, and then I went to this company and I was the CMO. And it was the first time I had not ever had sales as well. So I remember distinctly one day my CEO comes into my office. That's back when we had offices with doors and everything. And he sat down across from my desk and he looked at me and he said, "Debbie, what are you going to do about revenue?" And I looked at him and I said, "Rusty, it says marketing out there on that door, not sales." And he said, "I understand." He said, "But given your background and given where we are as a company," and it was a technology startup, he said, "we need help driving sales." And from that moment, as far as a career passion and purpose, it became very clear to me that we were now embarking on this incredible journey of technology, and marketing should have a new role in sales. So it was abundantly clear to me from day one. The Mac Daddy product that you bought back in that day was a product called S.H.E, which is no longer, it exists, but not in the same name. And I remember the very first time I saw that piece of technology, I'm like, wow, this is going to be a game changer for marketing. It really is going to change marketing from the "what do you want us to do for you today" sales to "let's get in there and drive some revenue." And so that was a passion and a purpose for many years, is walking into an organization and looking at the CMO, Heidi, and saying, What the hell are you doing? You're not the make it pretty department. Not when marketing says jump, how high, you say how high. You should be responsible for revenue. We live in a digital world now. And that's kind of how that journey began. One of need as a CMO and a new startup.
Yeah. And I love how they're like coming to you and saying, like, how are you going to drive revenue? And you're like, wait a minute, that's the sales team's department.
Yeah.
When in reality, a successful company really thrives on everybody leaning into all pieces. How is each person driving revenue? How are they bringing value that is adding to the bottom line? Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to account for our costs. And if there's a cost being put out, how are we generating that and making that up to, I guess, warrant that cost?
Warrant that cost, yeah.
Yeah. And this isn't a business show, but I want to talk, we're going to talk a little bit about it, especially with what you do. And now you've launched another business today, which is really exciting.
Today, LinkedIn Live. I mean, yes, absolutely.
We're seeing in IRL, in real life, in real time. Literally, as we're talking, everyone, Dr. Debbie has launched a new business starting today. So we get to see her on this journey, which is exciting going forward. We'll have to definitely bring you back in like a year to see where you're at.
I'd love to.
What's been going on. But I want to dive into that. So you said the other one was basically something that you did out of necessity. Now, today, you are leaning into your passion and purpose. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey from necessity into passion and purpose, and what made you lean into, I'm going to go for this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very interesting journey. One of the things that I like to talk about with people is my mental health journey, because my mental health journey actually was instrumental in me starting this new company. So many people who know me always see me as this vibrant, always on kind of person. But through the years, I have suffered from crippling depression. And it's been a hell of a thing to manage. I'll just put it that way. Drugs are only going to take you so far. A few years ago, I added ketamine infusions to my regimen. And I always share that because the ketamine was extraordinarily helpful in helping me manage that day-to-day depression. And it's really interesting, but when you have something like that, and then you go into therapy, when you go into therapy, you learn these incredible skills. And I'm looking around, I'm like, where else would you learn this skill? For example, something as simple as reframing a situation, right? You can look at that situation as the sky is falling and you're going to make yourself believe that. Or you can look at that situation, rewire your brain to say, okay, there is an opportunity in this, and I'm going to find what that opportunity is if I don't see that right now. So I was learning these incredible life skills through therapy. And anybody that's been to therapy will tell you about that. The breathing or the reframing or, many, many skills. I was taking that journey. And then by accident, I went to a meeting and I saw a speaker, and it was Amelia from the Flourishing Center. And she was talking about an open mindset. And that was the first time I got exposed to this thing called positive psychology. So I'm thinking, well, this sounds pretty good. Let me go see what that stuff's all about. So I began this journey of study. And positive psychology, guys, is just the simple science of human flourishing. Who doesn't want to get up and flourish every day? So where I was in my life, and it's a pretty visceral way that I think about it, very visceral, because it was a very tough journey for me, and I'm still on that journey, is that I was in this pit, right? I was in this pit for many years, and it was dark in the pit, and I kept trying to claw my way out. Therapy was helping, the drugs were helping, the ketamine were helping. And I'd gotten to a point in my life where my chin was right over the rim of that hole. And that's when I found positive psychology. So it was, my doctors and the meds and the therapy that got my chin over that hole so I could see out. But it was positive psychology and these wonderful skills of human flourishing that really have taken my life to the next level. And so I'm like, wow, am I like the only person on the planet who could benefit from something like that? And then I thought, Debbie, you've spent the last 30 years working with marketers. And if you take a look at the pressure situations that they're under, and if you look how crappy the world of work is coming, why not take those positive psychology skills and bring them into corporate America? And I'm focusing on marketing, right? And why not help them? Two things. Learn how to perform under pressure because it's not going away, it's getting worse. And number two, how to flourish at work, right? So that was my journey. It was just a connection of things that happened to me over time, right place, right time, right gifts from the universe.
I love that. Thank you for sharing your journey and your story and how you got here. Because I'm a big believer how I got to doing what I'm doing, where I am now is not what I imagined for myself 8 years ago, but I moved into entrepreneurship due to moving through a divorce. It was out of necessity. And part of my story and my journey. And I'm a big believer on every step we take, every decision we make has a consequence, and there's no attachment, negative or positive. It's just where we're going, and what we assign to it is either negative or positive. And you've taken something you've moved through and probably still moving through, and now you're helping others. So for those of you out there who are going, I don't know what my passion and my purpose is, there is something inside of you. It's just a matter of opening up and going, okay, please give me the answers. Debbie shared the universe just led her here, but she was also open to receiving the answers and moving through it. And she didn't know this was going to happen maybe 2 years ago, that she was going to start this business, but it's just one step after another. It's like, okay, I moved through this, I've gone through this journey, and you're very open about using specific drugs to help you move through it. Ketamine has has a really negative connotation for many people because you hear of stars that have taken it and they've been overdosed on it and things like that.
Right.
So any drug that you're taking could be beneficial. There are people that have benefited from it, and there's also the other flip side of it. So no matter what, sometimes like my son, ADHD, I did not want to put him on medication, but it was something that I needed to. We sat back for years. We didn't for the first few years. And then his teachers came to us and they're like, he's going to not be able to thrive. He's super smart and he just can't focus. So we had to take that leap and go, okay, for us, it's beneficial. And people may look at us and go, I can't believe they're doing that. But it's our journey,
That's exactly right. And just to let you know, I also have ADHD, which was really kind of more of an adult onset type of thing. And that took a hot minute for me to understand what the heck was going on as well. And then, but once my therapist said, Debbie, you've got ADHD, I'm like, oh my God, now so many things in my life began to make sense, right? So many things began to make sense. And I think that anybody on a mental health journey, you need to own that journey. And you need to do everything you can to be the best that you can be. You need to constantly explore what options do I have? What things can I do differently? And not just sit back and just accept what somebody is telling you about your condition, because I believe that there are no barriers except for how you think about yourself. That's it. That's the only barrier that you have.
Yeah, that's so good, Debbie. That's such gold right there. Be your self advocate, because nobody's going to advocate for yourself more than yourself. It's just not going to happen. Yep. The doctors will tell you what they want and they're on to the next patient. As soon as they walk out your door, they're moving on to the next case. So they're going to tell you what they think. Doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% the treatment or
that's right. And I always tell people, doctors are like this. If you have a hammer, then everything's a nail, right? And doctors are the exact same way. I'm going through another personal journey right now. I have a 38-year-old niece who was basically, long story short, just didn't have very much. Both her parents are dead. And she was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis and needs a new liver. And this all came about as an emergency because she doesn't have, two cents to rub together, no insurance, right? And I get a phone call from my niece, who I love dearly, and she says, Aunt Debbie, the doctor just told me I've got 3 to 6 months to live. And so that happened in October. Well, my whole life stopped right there and then, because the only people that help her are my 89-year-old mother, who, while she is a whippersnapper and just painted her house last year, she's still 89 years old, right? And
Right.
also her godfather, who was like 78. So I had to put everything on hold for the last 3 months, Heidi. And we finally got her on insurance. And I'm very happy to say that we go to Atlanta next week to Piedmont, and she'll be there for 3 days for a liver transplant evaluation. So we are just thrilled. But to go from that to it has
Yeah.
been harrowing, just really harrowing. So
Yeah.
it's just another journey. And have you ever met somebody where like shit never happens to them? They're just like, no, like nothing's real. I mean, nothing's, big or anything like that. I've had my share of that from the universe, but every time it happens, it makes me not just stronger, Heidi, but it makes me better, right?
Yeah.
It makes me more connected to people. It helps me stop and see what's really important in life. And those are gifts that I treasure. I really do.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm praying for your niece.
Thank you.
And it's, God is good. What was happening 3, 4 months ago is now shifted in a big way. And it's about asking for support when you're going through something.
Mhm.
And nothing is too small, right? If you feel like nothing is too big, nothing is too small, there's always answers. But if we do it as a lone wolf, we're not going to get there. So we need to ask for support. And so kudos to your niece for doing that, reaching out, and then for all of you coming together, rallying, and now this next step is happening. So
Takes a
she's in my
village.
prayers. Still, yes, it takes a village,
Mhm.
absolutely. So Debbie, you've gone from working as a CMO in the corporate space, and now you're opening up your own business, your new business. You've written books. Let's talk about the new business right now. When you're moving through your journey of mental health and therapy in navigating that, and now you've decided, hey, I'm going to open this and start this to support other professionals, because there in the corporate space there is a ton of pressure, and I'm sure there's a lot of fear out there. AI is coming on in hot. And there's always so many people. If you're online a lot, if you're in the corporate space and you're online, you're hearing AI is going to take everybody's jobs. So I'm sure there's a lot of fear
Gonna
out there
take a lot
too.
of jobs. I mean, it will.
It will. It's not a false statement. It's
Right, right.
going
It's
to.
not
The
a false
next
statement, right?
the next 2 years are going to shift in a big way, and you either need
Mhm.
it. And there, I still talk to companies who are like, we're going to be, we're want to keep the human thing, and I'm like, you're keeping the human piece of it with your services, and there's a place for AI, because if you don't get on board now, you're either not going to be here or you're going to be struggling to catch up. So that's
Completely
a whole,
agree.
yeah, the whole another
Mhm.
conversation. But when you decided to launch, did you have fear setting in on like, how am I going to do this? What do I do? Did you, because you seem very confident, like you walk in a room and I'm sure you have this energy about you, or people turn and they're like, I need to know her. Did you have any fear walking in this, as you're like navigating this new entrepreneurial journey?
Absolutely. No question about it. So the Pedowitz Group, I'm still a partner and an owner of, and we started that company in 2007. And it had a partner, right? I'm a solopreneur right now, even though I will be growing. And there was a lot of fear in that. And I've had to learn to work as a solopreneur. And I've also had to learn how to just say, okay, Debbie, what are you afraid of? Let's take a look at that fear and what are you afraid of? So, for example, one of the things that I did last week, I sent a list of people that I really respect. It was about 25 people on the list. I said, look, you're going to be hearing, next week I'm going to be announcing my new company. And I respect you and I respect your opinion. And I just wanted to let you know that this is coming out. And the responses that I got from that were just amazing. Debbie, you're awesome. You're going to hit it out of the park. And so I put all of that and just on a piece of paper so I can look at it and say, these people think I'm awesome and that I
I
can do
love that.
this, right? And so sometimes you have to separate. You have to take a look at fear and say what's real and what's not, because again, your head will really get in the way of that. So yes, it kind of goes in peaks and valleys. And I do tend to be a very confident person, and I'm really confident when I'm passionate about something. And I'm passionate about this because I know that this is magic, just
Yeah.
absolutely magic. And I know the stress that people are under at work. And I know they don't have any skills that help them actually thrive on that job 8 to 10 hours a day. So my confidence does help me through. But, if I were to say that I wasn't fearful, yeah, that would not be true at all. But fear, actually, if you think about it, fear serves a purpose. What is it trying to tell you? And so when I take a look at my fear and when I unpack it, it helps me say, Debbie, are you trying to be too much at one time? Are you going the right direction? Is your pace the right way? And so the fear kind of helps me just kind of sit back and say, okay, let's make sure we stay on the journey that we are passionate about and not go this way or not go that way. So, fear is a biological response that is programmed into us. And every fear should be acknowledged. It should be recognized. And then you have to think about, why do I feel this fear? And then you just have to unpack it. So for me, that's actually a useful exercise to go through.
I've never heard of anybody do that. And I really love what you did. Like you went to 25 people that you respect and you let them know that this is coming. You're going to hear about this. And because when I started, I didn't want, I was like, what are people going to think about me? I was stay-at-home mom. Like, who is she to do this? Whereas if I leaned into it and said, hey, this is what's coming, just to let you know, this is what you're going to hear about it. Blah, blah, blah. I probably would have leaned into it with less fear and less chatter in my head, worrying about what other people are going to think because
Hmm.
I had these 25 people,
Hmm.
or even if it's 10
Hmm.
saying, you've got this, you're amazing, I know you can do this. Because just having that support behind you changes, like you said, positive
It,
therapy,
it, it,
or
it absolutely
positive
does.
psychology,
It made a
having that
big
behind you.
difference.
I think that's brilliant that you did that. So
Well,
for those
thank
of you
you.
listening, if you're wanting to launch something or do something new, or you're going to step out of your comfort zone, reach out to people you respect and
Yeah,
that that have your back and say, hey, this is, you can even reach out to them and go, hey, this is something I want to do, but I'm like having some fear around it, and
exactly.
let them support you.
Exactly. Because again, so I think especially for women, we get in our own way. I don't know why that is, but we do. We second guess ourselves more. We have more self-doubt. We sometimes don't hold ourselves as being as worthy as we are. I think that women should be fierce. They should be independent. They should be strong. And that means something different for every woman. Being strong doesn't mean that you come into a room and you just kick ass and you start screaming and it doesn't mean all of that. Strength means a lot of different things. It means, you know, being who you are and leading with your strengths, right? Whatever they are. Like this toxic masculinity, honey, don't even get me started. If you want to go there, I can go toe to toe with your ass, let me tell you right now. And you don't want to go there with me, right? But I've learned on the softer side, I'd rather sit there and just, give them the look that says, God, you are such a stupid idiot, right? I mean, what, where are you coming from? So, but I think as women, we have to actively work on our self-worth. We have to get up every day and say, and I will tell you this, one of my favorite things to do when I start to get depressed is do you guys know what tapping is?
I've heard of
Tapping,
it. Yes.
with affirmations, and I tap with positive affirmations. I am worthy. I am awesome. I will do great. I will be successful as I define it, right? And so I make that mind body connection when I say those affirmations and when I do my tapping or when I do my havening. So I think that as women, we need to be proactive about those things and that requires being a little bit more in touch with ourselves. And I think that is a great skill to have.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been open I love that you're sharing that you've been open to experiencing new things. And I think that's a big something that we all need to lean into, is because we can get in our own box and, like you said, in our own way, and we could be like, that what they're doing is crazy, that would never work for me. But if we haven't tried it, we wouldn't know. Like tapping, for one, somebody listening can go, oh, that's woo, I'll never do that. But you know what you may never do could have been the thing that really supported you in the process.
And here's the thing, guys. It is simple neuroscience. It's not woo-woo. It is neuroscience. So what happens is whenever kind of pressure situation that you're in, your body goes into a fight or flight mode. It's called the lizard brain, right? And in the lizard brain, your amygdala is firing, which means that your prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that makes rational decisions, you can't even access it, right? And so the tapping, right, puts you in connection with your body and calms down your nervous system. So you're no longer in lizard brain territory. You can actually think rationally. Neuroscience is physical. That's the reason it works.
Yeah, so good. Love it so much. So, Debbie, you've launched this business. You had some fear along the way. Have you had any challenges? And I love what you did. You talked to you notified 25 people. They got to support you. And now you're going into this with an energy of that.
The challenges. Yeah, I wanted to do this 2 years ago. Right. So the Pedowitz Group, my first company, and Jeff Pedowitz is my partner. And I wanted to do this probably 2.5 years ago. And then at the time we were doing great. And then we hit some negative tailwinds for our industry. And so we kind of went through a rocky time. So I had to stay with my current company longer than what I wanted to do. It's just the reality. That's what we had to do. And then this thing with my niece and my family, it sucked up a whole lot of time. So, honey, there were nothing but challenges. And then the ADHD getting worse on top of everything else, right? So,
Right.
yeah, it has been a tumultuous 2 years to get this going. And again, in all of that, I will say this. My mom is about 93 pounds, soaking wet. Swear to God, she painted her house last year. She does not know the word quit. It is not in her vocabulary. And I think that's where I get a lot of my grit from, is from my
Yeah.
mom. And the journey may not have been pretty on the back end, but I launched my company today. I launched it today.
Yay, congratulations. I'm so excited to be here for day one.
Thank
This is
you.
awesome. It's such an honor to be here for your day one. And I can't wait. Yeah, we're definitely bringing you back to see where you are and what's been going on.
Yeah, we'll have to
There's
do
a
that.
lot there's so much goodness coming. And again, the challenges don't, like, we're moving through life. We're going to have ups and downs. It's just a matter of how we approach them and how we challenge them and how we push through. And you've got the grit and the determination. And you said something that you wanted to do this 2.5 years ago. And the great thing about it is you just didn't throw it out the window. You stayed true
Oh
to your
no.
vision.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like, this may be a block in my way right now. And it could, and I have a client, we just did a post around this and I love it. What seems like Mount Everest is actually a 2-inch curb. And what
Yeah,
isn't that great? What looks like, because we
I
can make
love
things
that. It
so
is
big.
it's so true. It's so
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's all
Right.
about perspective, which you mentioned, you talked about
Uh-huh.
earlier. And the 2.5 years could have seemed like Mount Everest. This is never going to get done. I'm never going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But you stayed true to your vision. You held on to it, and you're like, this still gets to stay in the forefront. And now today it's happening, and everything is meant to be in perfect timing. So I'm excited for you, and thank you for holding on to that vision, because a lot of people will just let it go and they'll stay in their circumstances. Well, this is the hand I was dealt. No, we can always, there's always a road forward. You have a lot on your plate, which you shared. So I'm curious, as women, we can do the lone wolf thing. I've done it. We can feel like we've got everything, everything's on our shoulder. It's up to me. And that we talked about receiving, asking for support, and also receiving support. We talked about that a little bit. How are you you have a business, you have a company that you launched years ago, you have this new one you're launching today, you have a husband, you have a niece, you have things that you're juggling. How are you holding it all, keeping all those balls in the air? Your mental health, that you need to take care of yourself and prioritize that. How is that all how are you holding that all together?
A couple of things. I have a great coach that I work with, not a therapist, but a coach, right? And this is positive psychology coaching. So she coaches me on my life when I'm out of that pit, right? So she coaches me to flourish. How can I flourish, right? And her and I have been through the same positive psychology studies. And why that's invaluable for me is that I have this enormous toolkit, right, of things from the world of positive psychology that I can bring in every day. And even though that's what my company is about, I still need my own coach, right? You need your own time and your own space. I needed my own coach. And so she's just invaluable in holding that space for me. And then between her and I figuring out, no, it's me figuring out, she's there holding the space, figuring out what do I need next, right? For example, it was through one of those coaching conversations that I began the tapping about 6 months ago, which has been extraordinarily helpful for me. So I think the coaching is number one. But number two, and I mentioned this to a friend the other day, and she said she was going to steal this term. I practiced severe self-care. That's the term that I use because I am one of those people who historically does not take care of themselves. I take care of everybody else, right? I've always been the fixer. And so over the last, especially as I'm coming closer to launch this company, I've practiced what I call extreme self-care, which means if I want to spend all day Saturday reading a good book, I'm going to read the damn book, right? If it means going to get facials, I'm going to go have a facial. If it means going to bed earlier or sleeping later or, whatever that means is practicing severe self-care. And within that self-care, for me, it's very important to connect my mind and my body. Because again, like a lot of people, I don't always listen to what my body is telling me. To give you an example, Heidi, I have TMJ. After this, I have to go get a scan to make sure nothing's wrong. But the TMJ came about only from the stress and grinding the hell out of my teeth, right? I mean, that's what it's from.
Yeah.
So within that self-care, for me, it's noticing more about what's going on in my body and not just ignoring things, and then connecting that to my mind because your body will be telling you things well before you want to admit that something's going wrong. That the mental, how your brain and your body connects is absolute. It's like 100%. So it is, have a great coach that I lean into and also practicing severe self-care. Those have been the two primary things that I have focused on, especially over the last 6 months as everything has just kind of come to a head.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I love that you said extreme self-care because I've been doing that lately too, a little bit. I'm like, okay, if I just don't want to leave on the weekend and I don't want to do anything, I don't. And if other people want me to do stuff, I'm like, no, I just want to lay on the couch and read a book or watch my homework or whatever it is. Now, don't do that every day, but once in a while, it's like, okay, I don't, and I get to say no to things. And that was very hard for me for a long time is saying no. I felt like I had to do everything everybody wanted and keep it going, do this and do that. And I'm like, no, I just want to read. And, if I want to stay up late tonight, or if I want to go to bed at 8:30, I'm doing it. Right. And that actually opens the doors for creativity and more productivity in our business and in our life, and then also in our relationships, because when I'm showing up calmer, I'm not stressed out, and I'm not putting that stress on other people. I'm learning how to navigate it better.
And I coach a lot of executive women, And one of the biggest issues that we coach on is around this idea of self-care. And especially if they have kids at home, especially if they have teenage kids at home, because it's hard for them to make that transition from mommy to what I call mother role, right? Where you don't have to be all up in their stuff all the time. They know how to get up, get dressed, get ready for school, and get out the door, right? I mean, they're self-contained little units at that point. You have to change that relationship. And so teaching, having them see you as a whole and complete person, right? Because when they see you in that mommy role, and that's great, it's wonderful. I love being a mother. I have two incredible young women, my daughters, but everybody needs to see you as a whole independent person, not as this constant caretaker and giver, because your role is more than that. And so, actually, that's something that it seems to be a common theme among a lot of the women that I coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have two books. I want to talk about those real quick, and then I
Yeah.
want to talk about your coaching and your programs and how
Oh, and
people
there'll be a
connect
third.
there. I'm sorry.
There'll be a third. It's in outline form now.
Ah, your book.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, tell us about your first two books. So we've got Rise of the Revenue
Yeah.
Marketer and From Backroom to Boardroom. Can you tell us a little bit about those and where we
So,
can
um,
grab them?
so rise of the revenue market. I remember, and I started using the term revenue marketing back in probably around 2010. And it was so interesting. I would say to a marketer, what do you do about revenue? And they looked at me like I'd just grown a second head because back then they didn't in the B2B world. They just did not. I did a lot of work with clients. I actually did a 14 city speaking tour with John Miller, and so I got a chance to talk a lot about what revenue marketing was, and then from that, I spun out a book. It just made sense. And even today, I still meet people. For example, revenue marketing was a big thing at Microsoft one time, and I still meet people who say, "Oh my God, I read your book when I was at Microsoft," right? So that's what that book was about. And through the years, I've had so many comments from people who remember me on that speaking tour, who remember reading that book, because the book and the idea that marketing could be more than the make it pretty department landed at just a really, really good time in the market. And so that was the purpose of that book. And then the second book is called From Backroom to Boardroom: Earn Your Seat with Strategic Marketing Operations. So published that in 2018 with Forbes. And this book was all about all of a sudden marketing who might have one or two pieces of technology now had 70, 80, 90 pieces of technology. They were spending a third of their marketing budget on technology. So this group called marketing operations came into being. And again, front row seat to everything is, it was happening because that was the space that I lived in. So I wrote a book, and it's not about the technology. It's about how do you be a strategic marketing operations leader? Because if you think it's about the technology, you're wrong. And a lot of marketing ops teams, unfortunately, they work a little bit too much like an IT department, and they don't work enough they should be a Sherpa for the marketing organization. They understand what technology is, what it can do, and they should be bringing that kind of knowledge into the marketing department so marketing can make the best use of that technology to drive business in a nutshell. So that's what the book was about. And my format for both books was to interview a bunch of people who were doing it, who were living in the middle of it, who were doing a great job of it, and then kind of wrap my own frameworks around that, and then publish. So I always say this to anybody who writes a book: it's not that hard. Listen to me. You ready, Heidi? 10 chapters, 4,000 words a chapter. You've got a book. And it's so easy to publish anything these days. So if you want to be an author, this is not, it's just not that hard. Just not
Yeah.
that hard.
And now with AI support, it's even if it's just super simple,
It's so easy.
Yeah, you have so much support out there. So tell us about the new business, the coaching, and you told us who you serve, but go through that all again and how my listeners, if they want to reach out to you and go, I want to see what this is all about, and if I
Sure,
can work with
sure.
you, what does that look like?
Absolutely. I'm going to send you a URL because I have a unique asset that's branded and created just for your listeners.
Great.
And it's called a leadership reset, but it's a little card set. It's a digital card set, and it's just five little things that you could do sitting right where you are when the day is just getting away from you, all based in neuroscience. So not woo-woo, all stuff that actually helps you calm your nervous system and kind of bring you back online so that you can be all that you can be. So we'll have a unique URL that I'll send out that you can provide to your listeners. So the growth factor at the heart and soul of the growth factor, we take the whole idea of market. Again, my focus are marketing organizations. And we focus on leaders who are in an always pressure environment. What skills do you need to lead in pressure cooker situations? Because the pressure's not going to go away. It's going to continue to get worse. And number two, then what skills do you need to actually flourish? And if the leader can lead with clarity through stress, and then can lead with purpose and passion to flourish, then that team flourishes, and you have a marketing organization that now can make a real impact on the business. So I do leadership training. I do workshops. I work with leadership cohorts on like 12-month training programs for leadership. I do coaching, and I do a lot of talks for organizations as well. So that's basically what we do at the Growth Factor.
Perfect. So, Debbie, how can people reach out to you and connect with you?
Dr. Debbie at growthfactor.us. Go visit my website. Again, we launched today. Would love to hear from you.
Amazing. So I'm going to have all of Debbie's URLs inside, or links, social media, website, email, whatever she gave us, we're going to give to you in the show notes, as well as that special link to go grab
The leadership reset.
her
Yes.
leadership reset guide for you to support you, which I think is going to be amazing. So make sure you go grab that. I'll be grabbing it myself. For those of you watching us on YouTube, thank you. Dr. Debbie and I say hello and appreciate you being here with us. If you know of anybody that would benefit from hearing Dr. Debbie today and learning more about the growth factor and what she can do to support, please share this with women that you know. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. If you're feeling so inclined to leave a review, we would love 5 stars. That way, the podcast platforms, it supports them on pushing this podcast out and this interview with Dr. Debbie to support more women in regulating their nervous system and also growing in supporting them in their growth through their journey, especially if they are high performers or professionals in the corporate space. So please share Dr. Debbie and her message with others that you believe that could be supported today. I loving so much that you said, and I really love the reaching out to 25 people. I've never heard that before. And I believe for anybody who's starting something new that has fear, do that exercise, because it would have, if I done that, I guarantee that a lot of that chatter, what are people going to think about me? Who is she to do this? They're going to be thinking that when nobody ever cares about me as much as I think they are, right? Nobody cares about us as much as we think they do. They're dealing with their own challenges, their own life. And when you're not showing up in your fullness of you, right? We're getting in our own way. When we're not getting in our own way and we're getting out of our own way and we're actually showing up, you're supporting others and you're showing up and sharing with women like, oh my gosh, if she can, I can.
That's
and
right.
Dr. Debbie's doing that. And I'm so excited for that and for what you're starting today, what you've launched today, and how you're going to support people. So congratulations. Everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, drop a note, congratulations, and also send her a message. Go connect with her on social. Let's support her in every way we can. I have 2 final questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie, is there a fun fact about you, something that we would not know from seeing you on social or going to check out your website?
There is. I really like stupid movies. Sharknado, right? That kind of stupid movies. My kids are like, Mom. I'm like, yeah, I know I have a doctorate, but I really like stupid movies, right? Here come the Spartans, just stupid movies. I don't know what it is about them. It's just the comedy aspects of them. I don't know. I just really appreciate them.
That's your guilty pleasure.
That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Mine is Hallmark. And I'm like, sometimes I just need a no-brainer. Like I know what's going to happen at the end, right?
Sometimes
Like,
I need an episode of The Good Witch. That's my feel-good show. Yeah.
yeah, we just need those as women. So it's a guilty pleasure. It's a self-care moment, right? It's part of that extreme self-care that nobody else may understand it, but we get to do it
We
for us.
do, right.
Yeah. My last question is if you could have lunch with anyone, deceased or alive, who would it be and why?
My dad. Yeah. Yeah, he passed away a few years ago, probably. Well, it's been more than a few years now. It's been about 12 years now, and it would absolutely be my father.
Oh, so special. I love that. Well, thank you, Dr. Debbie. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for spending time with me. Congratulations again on launching. By the time this airs, she will have already have launched for a little while now. So go check her out, go connect with her, go learn more about the growth factor and go to growthfactor.us, email her Dr. Debbie at growthfactor.us, go connect with her. She's pretty amazing and awesome, as you can see here today. So Debbie, is there anything before we sign off that you'd like to say or share that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on
I
today?
want to share how much I appreciate this show and how much I appreciate the emphasis that you have on women being seen, being heard, and being, what was the E?
Empowered.
Empowered. How could I forget empowered, right? I just think women need more of that. And one of the things that I've learned through the years is that there's a real sisterhood among women, and there's great joy in that. So, Heidi, thank you so much for this work that you do.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. We don't always get to hear if we're impacting, someone in any way. And it was really an awesome when we first met to talk about, because I have two podcasts. And honestly, you were a fit for both. And I was like, well, wait a minute. They're reaching out for Bishi, your PR person, but I think she's a fit for the other one. And when we talked, you're like, I want Bishi. Like I want
Yeah.
Bishi. So I was really excited that you wanted this podcast and that you were this passionate about it and how you serve women. So thank you for all you do. And thank you for that feedback. It really makes me, means a lot to me to hear that. And it makes my heart full. So I appreciate you. Thank you all for listening to us today and being with us for this episode. Make sure you connect with Debbie and you let her know that you heard her here. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of the Be She podcast. In the meantime, be empowered to be seen and heard.